Yes, John. So before we look at this coming week in the NFL, we are recording on Saturday afternoon in the year of our Lord 2022 on September 1st now. So
Oh no, it's October 1st, buddy.
October 1st.
I
Jesus. Oh,
know.
wow. I
We're falling behind these days, my man.
I slept walk through all of September. So yes, October coming to you on October 1st. We have the Thursday night game in the books, but we before we go forward, John, we got to look backwards. And the horrendous Sunday night football game that involved, of course, you guessed it, the Denver Broncos and their coach Nathaniel Hackett in a tractor pull with the San Francisco 49ers. Broncos pulled this game out by 2 points, and Jimmy Garoppolo was the reason why.
Oh, he was, Jesus God. That whole incident of him stepping out the back of the end zone, the only thing that saved him is the fact that Dan Orlovsky took about 35 steps out the back of the end zone a few years ago. It's a fantastic clip, but we got to give our shout out to our man, Jimmy G, making sure Nathaniel Can't Hackett gets another dub.
Right. Just, 49ers Nation, I think, was pretty excited or not excited, but they think that Trey Lance is a project at best. And I think they only needed to watch maybe a half of that Bears game played in the monsoon to realize that. So they get Jimmy Garoppolo back, he's an NFL quarterback. And then they go into Denver, a team that pukes all over themselves, and yet they can't pull out and show up with a serious effort.
I mean, we know the 49ers have struggled to move the ball all season. Hopefully they can get it together. Alex, but we had a bigger calamity of errors starting that week in Miami. I mean, Alex, do you want to walk us through the butt punt?
I mean, I don't know if this tops Mark Sanchez's butt fumble, but anytime
it's gotta be up there.
A man's hindquarters causes a turnover in the National Football League, it's a clinic. It's textbook bad football, John. It's really the reason why we have this segment.
And I mean, just the whole thing, like, how do you not notice the slot back like 3 feet in front of you, just firing the football right up his rear end? It was right on the money too. I mean, don't get me wrong, wasn't that far, but hit him right on the money.
When you have to punt from your own end zone and the ball is, inside your 5-yard line, that doesn't give the punter a lot of room to operate. So maybe there wasn't enough time to do kind of like one of those college things where the punter like rolls out a little bit and then boots it.
Just give a little rugby punt.
Yeah, exactly. I think that that would have saved them there, but it looked like that running back kind of just got backed up into him.
Oh, 100%. And Alex, we had another just calamity of errors by the Miami Dolphins, just starting with, I mean, everything involved with Tua Tagovailoa this past week.
Right. He was obviously concussed. I mean, you didn't take a neuroscientist to evaluate him on the field last week. How the hell? There really hasn't been a lot of reporting on these so-called independent concussion spotters.
They have them in every sport, and it honestly feels like it's like the equivalent of walking through a metal detector for your concussion test. Like it's just so easy and quick, and it doesn't feel like they actually have the player's best interest at hand. And to be fair, if they're working for the team, do they have the player's best interest?
Right. And like, I think that this has brought into a lot of questions of really how independent are they? And Tua never should have been put back onto the field last week. And that definitely would have prevented this horrendous scene this past Thursday, John.
100%. And this whole, like, Miami's handling of this injury and like the way that their front office has really gone about things, I'd say in the past year, like it's been a gong show up in Miami for a while.
I thought he was paralyzed. I thought for a second he just wasn't moving. Like his lower at all. And then, when the hands went up and they said it was kind of this neurological response to head trauma, it's like, you never thought it's like, oh, good. Like, I mean, like at least, he just has a really bad concussion, and like that was the best outcome from, which is like terrible to say and terrible to think about. But
no, our thoughts and prayers are obviously with Tua, and hopefully he can get back on the field soon. I don't know if I were him at this point and his agent, I mean, they need to be going like the independent party route, separate from the team or any team doctors, because clearly the team doesn't have his best interest at hand. And hopefully he can get back on the field this season, but obviously concussions are really nothing to play around with. So, like we said, our thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopefully he gets well as soon as he can.
Right. Yeah. This was a scene out of the 1970s where a dude
Yeah.
like is lying motionless. It's like, no, he's fine. We'll run him back out there. And so that's the inherent risk with this sport, but the people making these calls need to be better. And I think, we're still reminded of that this league hasn't evolved.
No, 100%. And the people who are really bankrolling everything are not ready to change yet. And if they're going to introduce concussion spotters, they can't just be that in name. They really need to have the best interest of the players, not just the best interest of the players, the health of the players as their number one priority.